Chapter 3. Night begins to descend upon Grantaire by Victor Hugo from the book Les Misérables. The spot was in fact admirably adapted. The entrance to the street widened out, the other extremity narrowed together into a pocket without exit. Corinth created an obstacle. The Rue Mondétour was easily barricaded on the right and the left. No attack was possible except from the Rue Saint-Denis, that is to say in front and in full sight. Bossuet had the comprehensive glance of a fasting Hannibal. Terror had seized on the whole street at the eruption of the mob. There was not a passer-by who did not get out of sight. In the space of a flash of lightning in the rear to right and left, shops, stables, area doors, windows, blinds, attic skylights, shutters of every description were closed, from the ground floor to the roof. A terrified old woman fixed a mattress in front of her window on 2 clothes poles for drying linen in order to deaden the effect of musketry. The wine shop alone remained open, and that for a very good reason, that the mob had rushed into it. Ah my God, sighed Mame Hucheloup. Bossuet had gone down to meet Courfeyrac. Joly, who had placed himself at the window, exclaimed, "Courfeyrac, you ought to have brought an umbrella, you will catch gold." In the meantime, in the space of a few minutes, 20 iron bars had been wrenched from the grated front of the wine shop, 10 fathoms of street had been unpaved. Gavroche and Bahorel had seized in its passage, and overturned the dray of a lime dealer named Anso. This dray contained 3 barrels of lime, which they placed beneath the piles of paving stones. Enjolras raised the cellar trap, and all the widow Hucheloup's empty casks were used to flank the barrels of lime. Feuilly, with his fingers skilled in painting the delicate sticks of fans, had backed up the barrels and the dray with 2 massive heaps of blocks of rough stone, blocks which were improvised like the rest and procured no one knows where. The beams which served as props were torn from the neighbouring house fronts and laid on the casks. When Bossuet and Courfeyrac turned round, half the street was already barred with a rampart higher than a man. There is nothing like the hand of the populace for building everything that is built by demolishing. Matelote and Gibelotte had mingled with the workers. Gibelotte went and came loaded with rubbish. Her lassitude helped on the barricade. She served the barricade as she would have served wine, with a sleepy air. An omnibus with 2 white horses passed the end of the street. Bossuet strode over the paving stones, ran to it, stopped the driver, made the passengers alight, offered his hand to the ladies, dismissed the conductor and returned, leading the vehicle and the horses by the bridle. "Omnibuses," said he, "do not pass the Corinth, non licet omnibus adire Corinthum." An instant later, the horses were unharnessed and went off at their will through the Rue Mondétour, and the omnibus lying on its side completed the bar across the street. Mame Hucheloup, quite upset, had taken refuge in the first story. Her eyes were vague and stared without seeing anything, and she cried in a low tone. Her terrified shrieks did not dare to emerge from her throat. "The end of the world has come," she muttered. Joly deposited a kiss on Mame Hucheloup's fat, red, wrinkled neck, and said to Grantaire, "My dear fellow, I have always regarded a woman's neck as an infinitely delicate thing." But Grantaire attained to the highest regions of Dithriam. Matelote had mounted to the first floor once more. Grantaire seized her round her waist, and gave vent to long bursts of laughter at the window. "Matelote is homely," he cried. "Matelote is of a dream of ugliness. Matelote is a chimera. This is the secret of her birth. A Gothic Pygmalion who was making gargoyles for cathedrals fell in love with one of them, the most horrible, one fine morning. He besought love to give it life, and this produced Matelote. Look at her, citizens. She has chromate-of lead-coloured hair like Titian's mistress, and she is a good girl. I guarantee that she will fight well. Every good girl contains a hero. As for Mother Hucheloup, she's an old warrior. Look at her moustaches. She inherited them from her husband. A hussar indeed, she will fight too. These 2 alone will strike terror to the heart of the banlieue. Comrades, we shall overthrow the government as true as there are 15 intermediary acids between margaric acid and formic acid. However, that is a matter of perfect indifference to me. Gentlemen, my father always detested me because I could not understand mathematics. I understand only love and liberty. I am Grantaire, the good fellow. Having never had any money, I never acquired the habit of it, and the result is that I have never lacked it. But if I had been rich, there would have been no more poor people. You would have seen. Oh, if the kind hearts only had fat purses, how much better things would go. I picture myself Jesus Christ with Rothschild's fortune. How much good he would do. Matelote, embrace me. You are voluptuous and timid. You have cheeks which invite the kiss of a sister and lips which claim the kiss of a lover. Hold your tongue, you cask, said Courfeyrac. Grantaire retorted, "I am the Capitou and the master of the floral games." Enjolras, who was standing on the crest of the barricade, gun in hand, raised his beautiful, austere face. Enjolras, as the reader knows, had something of the Spartan and of the Puritan in his composition. He would have perished at Thermopylae with Leonidas, and burned at Drogheda with Cromwell. "Grantaire," he shouted, "go get rid of the fumes of your wine somewhere else than here. This is the place for enthusiasm, not for drunkenness. Don't disgrace the barricade." This angry speech produced a singular effect on Grantaire. One would have said that he had had a glass of cold water flung in his face. He seemed to be rendered suddenly sober. He sat down, put his elbows on a table near the window, looked at Enjolras with indescribable gentleness, and said to him, "Let me sleep here." "Go and sleep somewhere else," cried Enjolras. But Grantaire, still keeping his tender and troubled eyes fixed on him, replied, "Let me sleep here until I die." Enjolras regarded him with disdainful eyes. "Grantaire, you are incapable of believing, of thinking, of willing, of living, and of dying." Grantaire replied in a grave tone, "You will see." He stammered a few more unintelligible words, then his head fell heavily on the table, and, as is the usual effect of the second period of inebriety, into which Enjolras had roughly and abruptly thrust him, an instant later he had fallen asleep.